Let's talk about that invisible cage that so many entrepreneurs find themselves in. You know the feeling. You're the busiest person in your own company, but you feel like you're just running in place. Well, today, we're going to explore how to pick the lock on that cage, how to go from being a frantic employee to a real visionary leader. Let's jump right in. So, let's just start with the most important question you can ask yourself. Are you trapped in the day-to-day grind? Are you the one answering every single email, fixing every little problem, putting out every fire? Or are you the one stepping back, designing the future, and building a machine that can actually run without you? Because honestly, the answer to that question changes everything. If that last question felt a little, too real, trust me, you are not alone. This is the voice of countless founders who feel like they're totally swamped. The passion that got you started in the first place gets buried under this just avalanche of tasks. You've got all this energy, but there's no structure. And that, my friends, is a one-way ticket to burnout. You know, this feeling, this whole dilemma, it actually has a name. It's called the technician trap. And it's this cruel irony, right? The very skill you have, baking the cakes, writing the code, whatever it is, that skill becomes the very thing holding your entire business back. The story of entrepreneur Levi Troop, man, it just illustrates this perfectly. For years, Levi was his businesses. Seriously, he was juggling 10 different jobs across 5 industries. His relationships were taking a huge hit, and he was running on that core, really dangerous belief that so many of us fall for. If you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. Does any of this sound just a little bit familiar? Because this is the trap in action. So, how do you get out? How did Levi manage to escape? Well, I'll tell you. It wasn't some sudden aha moment. It was this gradual, deliberate, and, let's be honest, probably painful transformation. It was a journey from being the business's best and most overworked employee to becoming its true leader. And what's really wild here is the timeline. This was not an overnight success story. For a full decade, 10 years, Levi was just stuck in that technician mode, learning everything the hard way through one failure after another. That 10th year, though, that was the pivot. That was the moment he finally shifted from working in his business to working on it. And that's when everything started to change. And this just lays out that mental shift he made so perfectly. See, the technician is obsessed with doing today's work. The entrepreneur, on the other hand, is obsessed with building a system so that the work gets done perfectly by other people, tomorrow, and the day after that, and for years to come. It's that critical leap from just managing tasks to actually architecting the future. So the million-dollar question is, what made that leap possible? What was the key that finally unlocked the cage for Levi? Well, the answer, in just one word, was systems. He stopped just doing all the work himself and started building a repeatable, scalable blueprint for how the work actually gets done. Okay, let's be absolutely clear on what we mean by a system, because it's not just some fancy piece of software. It's the entire operational DNA of your company. It's this interconnected web of all the processes you follow, the tools you use, and the tech that holds it all together. Think of it like the load-bearing walls and foundation of your entire organization. And this is the exact framework Levi used to turn his chaos into clarity. He broke it all down into these 3 simple building blocks. First, you've got processes. That's the what you're trying to do. Then policies. That's kind of like the why, the rules of the road. And finally, procedures, the incredibly detailed how to get it done. You get these 3 right, and you've got a business that can practically run itself. And why does this matter so much? Well, because without this structure, you will forever be trapped in the day-to-day. Systems are what finally let you scale. They create the consistency that builds trust with your customers. They give you the data you need to make way smarter decisions. And yeah, by making everything more efficient, they drive a bigger bottom line. But what happens when you don't have these systems in place? It's not just that you miss out on all the good stuff, you are actively opening the door to catastrophic failure. So let's look at the common landmines that a good system helps you completely sidestep. You know, a business rarely fails because of one single thing. It's usually death by 1,000 cuts. And the threats, as you can see, they come from everywhere, from financial trouble to just operational chaos. And that personal burnout one, that is a very, very real threat. Each of these categories is a potential minefield for any entrepreneur who's trying to operate without a map. But here's the powerful part. For every single one of these painful pitfalls, a system is the direct solution. You feel like you can't delegate? That's a procedure problem. You're constantly burned out? That's a workload management system problem. For Levy, this table wasn't just theory. It was basically a painful summary of his first decade in business. He realized systems are the antidote. Which brings us to the ultimate payoff. When you build these systems, you're doing so much more than just building a business. You are meticulously constructing an engine for your own freedom. And look, this is not just some feel-good idea. For Levi Troop, this was about hard, tangible results. After he systemized his staffing business, that single engine brought in, get this, over $900,000 in candidate salaries. That is the incredible power of a well-oiled machine. And this right here is the whole point. This is the key takeaway. The entire purpose of building a business that can run without you is freedom. Freedom from the constant grind. Freedom to think strategically. Freedom to maybe start another venture. Or, hey, maybe just the freedom to take a real vacation without your phone exploding. Now, building this engine is not easy. As Levy's 10-year journey showed us, it is paved with a lot of trial and error. And this quote from Churchill just captures that spirit perfectly. It's all about pushing through those early failures with your vision intact, knowing that every single mistake is just a lesson in how to build a better, stronger system. So we'll leave you with this one question. Forget trying to systemize everything all at once. What is the single biggest bottleneck in your business right now? What is that one repeatable task that if you just documented it and handed it off would free up your mind and your time? That's your starting point. That is your first step to finally working on your business, not just in it.